This meeting is now
Sponsored by
being
Copper
recorded.
Conferencing, today's webinar, Taming the Email Beast, Key Strategies for Managing Email and Information Overload, is presented by Randy Dean. Randy Dean, the totally obsessed time management email guy, is a professional speaker, author, and sought-after expert on time and email management, effective organization, and the related use of technology. For almost 20 years, Randy has been leading training and speaking programs and presentations for corporate, academic, and association audiences. Obsessed with time management and personal productivity, he left a successful career as a graduate program admissions director, professional marketer, and manager to become a leading speaker and trainer. The author of 2 books on time and email management, including the national productivity sensation, Taming the Email Beast, 45 Key Strategies for Better Managing Your Email Overload and Regaining Your Email Sanity. He has led programs for thousands of satisfied and inspired students, managers, and professionals on being more productive and purposeful with their time and life. His highly informative and entertaining speaking and training programs leave audience members with applicable tools, strategies, and skills on how to better manage their time, technology, email, and office clutter immediately following their program experience. I'd like to turn today's call over to Randy Dean. You may now begin.
Excellent. Thanks, John. It's great being here online with everybody. So you know who you're speaking with today. Those of you that do not know me personally already, here's who you're talking to. I'm Randy Dean, the totally obsessed time and email management guy. And I've spent the last 21 years basically leading and teaching programs on time and email management. First 14 years as an designated internal expert for organizations like Procter & Gamble, Michigan State University, and the Fetzer Institute. The last 7 years I've been out on my own, going all across the United States, Canada, and yes, even Europe a few times. Not a bad gig if you can get it, going to Europe to lead show programs on how to better manage your email, becoming pretty well known as the totally obsessed time and email management guy. We have just a short amount of time today. First thing I want to do is thank Copper Conferencing for providing the hosting for today's event. This is a great opportunity for you to get a little exposure to their webinar management tools, and definitely recommend that you take a look at those. I also want to dive in quickly because we have a short amount of time to give you some of my very best strategies for email management utilizing Microsoft Outlook. So let's not dawdle, let's dive right in. First strategy that I want to share with you is actually a strategy that not only helps with managing your email, it's a strategy that can really help you with managing the clutter that's coming into your office in all different forms. I learned this strategy more than 20 years ago based from David Allen, who many of you may be familiar with. He wrote the book Getting Things Done, and I strongly recommend that you check out his work if you get a chance. But about 20 years ago, he taught me sort of the base of this, and I've sort of tweaked it a little bit to make it work for an email management strategy. It's based off this thing called the one-touch rule, which is a rule many of you may have heard of. It's something that's been around for a long time, and it's called the one-touch rule because it's from the old paper-based days when most things were still paper-based. Of course, now many things are electronic, email, voice-based. So you might call this the one-touch, one-look, one-listen rule today rather than just the one-touch rule. But what it basically says is this: anything new, voicemail, email, new document that comes across your desk, whatever it is, you look at it one time, you touch it one time, and that very first time you look at that thing, whatever it is, look at it, touch it, listen to it, you decide what you're going to do with it. So the first thing is make decisions the very first time you touch it. Now, this sort of flies in the face of modern email usage statistics because there's a statistic that blows my mind every time I hear it. The average professional email user looks at each and every email they receive on average between 3 and 7 times before they either take the action inside that email or put it on a task list. So what that means is they're looking at the same emails over and over and over again, not doing anything with them. And you can see how that can happen. New email comes in, oh, what's this one? Let me take a quick look. You take a peek at it, and then you go, oh, I don't have time for this. I'll deal with this again later. And if you keep doing that over and over and over again with all the emails that you're receiving, you're going to basically double or triple your email work just by the fact of not taking a good focused look and making a decision the very first time that you look at it. So that's the one touch, one look, one listen rule. Now, David Allen did something that I think is fundamentally genius when it comes to my genre of time and productivity management. He put a time-based decision matrix on top of this one-touch rule. So here's what he did, and it almost makes it diagnostic how you can handle everything new. He said if you get something new, whatever form it is, if you get something new and you look at that thing and you determine that the thing inside of it is something you can get done in a couple minutes or less, do those right now. Don't let quick little things stack up on you. Now, when I say quick little things, you know, if you got an email that's just going to require a 30-second reply or 1 minute to look up a piece of information and get it back to somebody, or a minute to find a document they need and forward that on, or even make that reply phone call to their voicemail and leave them the little piece of information they need, don't let those sit there. Get those ones done right away. And the reason that you want to get those things done right away is that if you keep that thing and look at it 2, 3, 4 times, which is what the average person is doing, you're doubling or tripling how long that email takes. Almost no one has the time to do that. So handle the quick little ones right away once you're aware they're there. Now, that does not mean check every new email coming in right as it comes in to see if it's a quick little email. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the program. But what I do want you to do is once you're checking your email, if you get one that's quick to handle it quickly. Now, what if it takes longer than a couple of this? And this is your first day Outlook tip of the day. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to my Microsoft Outlook, and I'm going to open up my inbox. And let's let that come up here. All right. John, are you seeing that now?
Yep, up and ready.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're all working together here. How many of you would like this? How many of you would like 6? And I have to tell you, you want to really hate me? I left those in here just so I would have something to show you today. So most days I get my email inbox all the way down to 0. And in a second, you're going to see how I'm doing that. Now, some of you are like, 0? I haven't had 0 since about 2002. It is possible, following an appropriate and smart procedure and process, to get your inbox clean. But here's the thing. Having a clean inbox is a secondary goal. That's sort of a byproduct of the primary goal. See, here's what I want you to be able to do with your email. I want you to be able to figure out what's hot, what's important, what's not. And if you can figure out what's hot, what's important, and what's not, and then administer those emails appropriately, you've got a good system for managing your email. So now that we've established that, let me show you what I do with my emails. I got this email here from Carol, who's one of my key client representatives here in the United States, and she wants me to get her my dates from my December calendar. Now, if you take a look here, though, this subject line for this email does not tell me that. So watch what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to left-click on this email, hold the click, and drag it down to tasks and drop it. Now, take a look at this, and then what you can see is you can actually see that the entire email text is right here in the message, but the subject line, once again, doesn't tell me what I need to do. So here's what I'm going to do with this email. I'm going to come up to the subject line and very quickly change the subject to what the subject actually is. Check and respond with available dates in December. That's the task. Now, due date. Let's do that tomorrow. Priority, high, category, clients, prospects, and category. I'm going to add an additional category here for Carol. She's in there. All right, Carol. And I'm going to say, okay. How long did that take? What, maybe about 20 seconds? And I was talking while I did it. So if I'm not talking, I can do that in about 10 seconds. So you see what I just did there with that email. It will take me longer than a couple minutes to do the task at hand, but in a few seconds, I'm converting that email into the task that actually needs to be done on my prioritized task list. Now, here's the thing. I don't care if you do this using the electronic task list tool in Microsoft Outlook or on paper, but the key point is once you've identified that it's an email that you can't get done right away because it's a quick little one, get it on some form of a task list that's not your inbox. See, a lot of people are using their inbox as a de facto yet very dirty and disorganized task list, and that's why they're losing so much time every day because they can't figure out easily what's the next most important thing to do. And see, by doing this, I'm getting it on task list. Now, I do a whole other program called Optimizing Your Outlook, where I do a deep dive on how to set up a project and task list inside of your Outlook so that you can be much more organized, prioritized, and strategic each and every day. But today we don't have the time to do that. So some of you are saying, well, that's great, Randy. You just pulled that into a task. You made it a task by using that drag and drop. But I don't use the task list in Outlook. I will never see it ever again. Well, how about this? Could you turn on the reminder button right here? And now I'm going to have a reminder set for 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. So what's going to happen is a pop-up's going to pop up right up onto my screen telling me that this is the task that I need to get done that time tomorrow. So see, in essence, I'm going to have those pop-ups pop up at the time I need them if I'm not using the task list. 6 of one, half dozen the other. Either way can work. But here's the thing that you got to think about. I know a number of you are actually instead doing something very similar. You're putting on follow-up flags on your emails. And I know a good number of people on this line right now are actually doing follow-up flags on their emails. But here's something you need to know. This is way better than a follow-up flag, and let me tell you why. When you do a follow-up flag, what is it that pops up on your screen? What pops up in that text box? What's in the text? The original subject line of the original email, which almost never tells you what you need to do. So what do you have to do? You have to double-click that link and open up that email and read it again. Clinical definition of insanity. See, reading emails over and over again, doing nothing with them is insane. And so I want you to stop that by getting yourself in the habit of knowing exactly what it is that needs to be done the very first time that you look at it. And this is how you can do it, by changing that subject line. All right, so I'm going to hit save and close, and then we're going to come back in here because I'm not, but wait, let's do it like the infomercial. But wait, there's more, all right? Take a look at this email here from Angela, who's another one of my client reps around the country. I'm going to left-click on this one and drag it over here to contacts, and take a look what that just did. Populates her name in one of the lead fields, populates her email address. And now I'm going to go down to her email signature, and let's see. I think it's down here near the bottom. Let's see. Email signature. Oh, look, I'm supposed to pick up my daughter sometime here in the near future. Oh, but this one doesn't actually have a picture, so I'm going to try a different one here. Let's close that one. Let's bring this one from Carol back in and do it again. Contacts. There it is. Let's go down here, and let's see. Here we go. So I'm going to grab this email job title, grab address, drag, grab phone number. Just cancel that, say that's okay, phone number, and drag over. And notice that in a matter of just a few seconds, by grabbing text and moving that text over, I am able to basically get this information and create a brand new contact. So I'm going to hit save and close on this one, and let's see what happens when I do that. I think I know what is going to probably happen. Notice that Carol's already in there. It gives me the chance to update if I need to. I'm going to cancel that because I think the previous information is good. And can I do the same thing? I'm going to take this one from Angela again, and because I need to block some time to set up a time for a phone call with Angela. So I'm going to take this one from Angela, left click, hold, drag, and drop to calendar. And now take a look. I'm going to change the subject. Call Angela for strategy items for 2012. Location, home office, phone call time, Friday at 12:30 p.m. And look at how quickly I turned that into a calendar event. And I'm going to hit save and close right there. So notice that by doing these things, in a matter of a few seconds, I can take an email, convert it very quickly into a new task, into a new contact, and or into a new calendar event in the matter of just a few seconds. And that's what I'm doing with my emails. See, that's what I want you to start doing with your emails, is the very first time that you read them, convert them if you can't get them done right now. So if it's something you can get done right away because it's quick, handle it. If it's going to take longer, convert it. Calendar, contact, task. Once completed or tasked, do you need it in your inbox anymore? As you can see, in each of the times I did that drag and drop, that text was now moved over into the email, the calendar, and or the contact. All that information is there available for you. You don't need that in your inbox anymore. You have one of two choices. File it, or if you don't need to keep it for later reference, delete it. Now, you're saying, but Randy, what if I don't have a good place to file it? Make one. Make a place to file it and put it there. Now, did I just give you a decision tree on how to handle every new email from this point forward? I'm pretty sure I did. Get it done if you can get it done in a couple minutes or less. If not, get it on a task list. I don't care if it's a paper task list or the electronic task list in Outlook or something on your smartphone. Get it done or get it tasked. Once done or tasked, file or delete. No place to file. Make a place to file and put it there. Now, how many of you would like to turn a whole bunch more of your emails into less than 3-minute emails? Anybody interested in that? I'm sure there's quite a number of you that are. How many of you have ever been typing an email, and as you're typing that email, right before you get ready to hit send, you say to yourself, there's some good writing. That is the most excellent business composition right there. But you also say to yourself right when you're about ready to hit that send button, but you know what? I've answered this question before. I've answered it before. I'm going to answer it again. This same thing keeps coming up over and over and over again. And if you have any of those, I know where you go to find them. You go into your sent folder. You want to find the last time that you sent that message so that you can copy and paste the text and forward it on to somebody else. And you think, I'm so smart, that'll only take me 5 to 10 minutes to find the last time I sent that thing. That's reasonably smart. Even smarter, put those emails you keep using over and over again in your drafts items folder so you can actually quickly find them and copy and paste them. That's even smarter. But if you're a Microsoft Outlook, there you can go one step even smarter than that. Watch this. I'm going to create a new email. This is Outlook 2010, mind. If you're on Outlook 2007, what you need to do is go to the Tools, Options, Mail Format dropdown to get to this tool I'm just about to show you. And here's the tool right up here at the top, your signature tool. So take a look at this. Most people have 1, maybe 2 signatures created. Let's see how many Randy has. Whoa, he's crazy. Crazy like a fox. I'll show you why. Take a look at this. See, I have a whole series of signatures. And I'm going to go down here to my signature selection tool. To get to this tool right here, once again, Tools, Options, Mail Format, if you're on any of the versions earlier than Outlook 2010. I'm going to click on that button and take a look at what it does. It brings up this little dialog box that allows me to see all of the different signatures that I've created, including the one that most of you have, something like this. Name, contact information, website, phone numbers, etc. Right? A little bit of shameless self-promotion at the bottom. That's my basic signature that I'm using on the vast majority of my emails. Notice that it's the auto signature for all new messages as well as all replies and forwards. So it's there. It's something that I can use. So I'm going to say that's fine. But notice this one. Every once in a while, I get somebody that I've never corresponded with before by email. This is a brand new contact, a brand new prospective client, a brand new business partner, a brand new vendor, somebody I've never corresponded with before. Take a look at this signature. Whoa! I give them a whole paragraph about who I am. And if I page down a little further, look at this cool little best practice. See these 2 PDF documents right here? Each one is nearly 1 meg in size. It's a 4-color promotional file, nearly a meg in size. So these 2 PDF documents here together are about 2 meg of data. And if I was sending that out as attachments, that's how much it would be on the file. But how big are they on this one? Almost 0, because look what I've done. They're not attachments. They're links to my website where I've posted these files for public use. So if you've got files you're using over and over and over again, sending them out in your emails, post them onto your public web server or post them onto a service like Box.net or Dropbox and get those files where you can share them so that people can click the link to easily and quickly load them up and download them. And if you can do that, that's a great little tip. And that's not even the tip I want to share with you. I very frequently get people that want me to come and do this program for their clients, for their customers, for their members at association meetings, at conferences, and at private company and university trainings. Take a look at this e-signature right here. Look at this one. Holy moly. Look at the size of that thing. That's crazy. I hate it when people do stuff like that. It's almost rude to have a signature that long. It's not a signature. It's an automated sales letter. Let me show you how it works. So I'm going to cancel out of here. Notice once again, I'm in this new email where I've done nothing with it. Right there's my base signature. But here's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to come up here to the signatures button, and I'm going to select that auto signature. And look, it overwrites and replaces all of the text. So now I've got all of this text right here. I'm going to take this top line, select on it, drag it, and drop it into the subject line. And then I'm going to do this. Dear Mary Ann. That's a shout out to Mary Ann Markowitz, who also invited quite a few people out onto this call today. And how long did that take for me to personalize this? Just a few seconds. See, what I'm doing now is I'm using my signature tool. I want you to get the word signature out of your head and replace it with the tool automated email sender. See, that's using it as an auto signature is one of the very base things it can do. This can automate many of the emails that you're sending all the time. And for some of the people on the call, this one tip right here is going to save them as much as half an hour a day, just by creating the right number of signatures that allow you to do this and do it in an automatic way. All right, so that's another tip. I'm going to close that. No, I don't need to save that. Let's get back to the presentation here. So we talked about, through a lot of this stuff, we talked about the Outlook tip for tasking your emails. One thing I'll say about drag and drop, it's a two-way street. Did you know that you can even click on a task in the Outlook task list and drag it to your email to make it a new email? That's pretty cool. So that means that you can go both ways with this thing. Same thing with calendar entries. So that gives you this. And here's that decision tree. Once again, I just can't reiterate this enough. New email, 3 minutes or less, get them done. Longer than 3 minutes, get it tasked. Once done or tasked, file or delete. No place to file, create one, and put the item there. So that's how you get your inbox down close to zero and better prioritize your projects and tasks, which is the key goal when it comes to managing your email. We just talked about the signature tool, so I'm going to blow by that. Whatever you do, though, do not bling your email. Bling, what's bling? Here's what bling is. It's that little sound that your Outlook makes when a new message comes in. Bling, and you'll see people, they'll be plugging along, getting some good quality work done at their desk. As soon as they hear that little sound, bling, they drop everything they're doing and jump right over their monitor, almost like Pavlov's dog. All right, so what do I want you to do? I want you to resist that temptation. Here's why. I got this article from Yoga Journal not too long ago, but it was also covered by CNN and ABC News. Scientists believe that incessantly checking email can lead to significant IQ loss. A recent study from the Institute of Psychiatry at the University of London shows that people tend to lose as much as 10 points of temporary IQ when they're checking constant emails, text messages, and phone calls. Once again, that's 10 points of temporary IQ. To put that in some perspective, that's roughly equivalent to missing an entire night's sleep and more than double the 4-point loss you'd get from smoking marijuana. How about that? So if you're getting a lot of emails, phone calls, voicemails, text messages throughout the day, and you're looking at those as soon as they come in, you're literally making yourself twice as dumb as a pot smoker. No offense to any of the pot smokers on the call. Now, of course, I am not going to endorse or embrace the illicit use of illegal drugs, but I want to impress upon you how damaging this one behavior is. So what do I want you to do? I want you to go into your user options in your Outlook. You can go into Mail Options, Advanced Options, and you can turn off the sounds. You can also turn off the flash boxes that come up onto your screen. Remember in the old days it used to be the paper clip or the dog that used to pop up on the screen? Now they're a little more sophisticated. They just have the little flash boxes. You can turn those notifications off. Now I know you're saying, but Randy, if I turn my notifications off, how will I ever know there's an email in there? Here's what I want you to do. Get on a smart regimen. When I say get on a smart regimen, how often do you need to check your email to be appropriately responsive to your clients, coworkers, and customers? That's part of the determination. The other determination is how much time do you need during the day where you're not distracted so you can actually get some of your project work done? And those two factors need to be put together. Now, if you're big-time client service, you might need to check your email as quickly as every 30 minutes or so just to keep up. If you're more on the project side of things, maybe checking your emails every couple of hours is appropriate. Most of us are somewhere in between. So what I want you to do is get on a smart regimen where you check your email maybe every 45 minutes, every 60 minutes, every 75 minutes. You have to determine the right answer. But every single time you check that email, I want you to follow the process that we talked about. 3 minutes or less, get it done. Longer than 3 minutes, task it. Once done or task, file or delete. No place to file. No place to file, make one, and then put it there. See, that's what you do when you check your email. And you do that through all the emails that have come in since the last time you checked it. And you will check voicemail, snail mail, and text messages too, because you're already distracted. Then once you get through all that new stuff and get it all appropriately either handled or prioritized, then go back into single tasking mode. Get one thing done at a time until the next time you have to check your email, voicemail, snail mail, and text messages again. In essence, multitasking part of the day and single tasking part of the day, balancing your needs to be responsive with your needs to get your work done. Now that sounds great in theory. Some of you are saying, yeah, but you don't know my boss. All right, so if you got that boss that sends you a message and 6 seconds later they expect you to reply, here's what I'd recommend you do. Go find that person after today's call and say, hey, boss, you know what? I heard this guy the other day on the webinar, Randy Dean, and he said that if I'm constantly checking my emails all day long as soon as they come in, it makes me twice as dumb as a pot smoker. That's what he said. Now, of course, I don't think that makes either of us look very good. So could you do me this one little favor? When you send me something red hot urgent, and only when you send me something red hot urgent, I bet you a good number of you already know what that is. Pick up the phone and give me a call. I want you to get the person that's driving you crazy to give you a call when and only when they send you red hot urgent items, because they need you to have extra focus, which will stop you from working on what you're working on and get to the urgent thing. But see, here's the thing they need to understand. Not every email they send you is red hot urgent, and they're not the only person sending you emails. See, they need to understand that, because if they don't understand that, they're going to drive you crazy. Now, some of you are saying, well, that makes a lot of sense, but you don't know my boss. My boss won't take this conversation very well. Well, let's say I'm going to pick on John here, who was my coordinator on the call. Let's say John's that super high maintenance person that expects immediate response. I'm going to right-click on John and look at this. It gives me a whole series of options. One of them is those follow-up flags, which you're no longer going to use. See that? I'm going to actually go down here to rules and create a rule for John, which is this. If it's from John and only when it's from John, I'm going to play a different sound. Da, 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 da. Or I could even move it to the exclamation point boss folder. Look at that. See, if I move it to the, notice what happens when you put an exclamation point, little flash tip for you. Moves them to the top of your folder structure. And see, when you move an unread message into one of these subfolders in Outlook, that folder goes bold. It gets highlighted. So you'll know there's a message there you haven't read yet. And as long as you've got your cabinet open, you can see you just got a message from the boss. All right? So that's a quick little tip. Utilize this tip. In my longer form programs, we show a lot more of the capabilities inside of that rules function. But I wanted to show you that as a quick little option to have that work. All right. We're almost done with time, so I want to finish this up quickly. Let's quickly talk spam. Now, I got this from PayPal.com a couple of years ago. I'm not going to go through all the details. Here's the simple thing. You get a message from Sally Stevens. You don't know Sally Stevens. Title of the message, R.E., hi, how you been? I don't know this person. Sender's address, John Smith at what? Sally, John, they don't match. And it's got a WYSI attached to it, a .wzi file, a little 3-letter file with 3 letters you've never seen before. What do you do with that email? I know a bunch of you said delete it. No, that's not what you do, Outlook users on a PC-based system. Here's what you do. Single left-click the message to select it, hold the click, right? Single left-click the message to select it, then hold the Shift key and hit delete. See, if you've got a message selected or a group of messages selected in your inbox, and then you hold the Shift key and hit delete, it bypasses your deleted items folder. It's gone. Once again, it bypasses your deleted items folder. It's permanently deleted. It is gone. That's called a hard permanent delete, and I bet you I use that one 30 to 50 times a day for spam that finds a way to get through my double-layer spam filter. Almost every day I still get a few that come through, and I just shift delete it myself. I am the 3rd layer spam filter. All right, so that's another tip for you. Obviously, I blew through this information very quickly. There's a lot of things we didn't cover in today's programs. One, we didn't go into file cabinet and file structure. And usually in my programs I do a pretty intensive discussion about how to build a smart file cabinet inside of your inbox so that you can start to file that stuff away. We didn't talk at all about carbon copies, forwards, and replies, and how I recommend handling those kinds of messages. When people CC too often, when people FYI more than they should, when people send out confusing or emotional emails and how to control that. We talked just very quickly about junk and spam, but I actually have more strategies related to that. In my longer form programs, I'll even talk about how to better manage flow of email, as well as utilizing the search and sort functions for finding lost messages. And this is just one of the programs that I lead. I also have other programs, one called Optimizing Your Outlook, where I actually give information on the other 4 key functions inside of Outlook: contacts, calendar, tasks, and notes. So you can use your Outlook as a full 5-feature productivity management tool system. And then I also am doing programs now on how to do the same thing using Google Apps that are right out there on the cloud today. So, you know, if you're interested, definitely, I know a number of you have been invited to this session from some client representatives, speaking bureaus, and agencies. Follow up with those people if you're interested in bringing a longer form program to your site at some time in the future. I will tell you that I know that we are going to be doing the longer form version of this program in particular, Taming the Email Beast, sometime in mid to late January on Copper Conferencing, and that's going to be a paid event. We'll get more information out to the people that attended this event today. If they're interested, and they can share that. So that'll be a full 90-minute webinar session. And if you happen to be listening to this on the replay, and it's any time after about the 3rd week of January, you might be able to then immediately go over and see if the online version of the longer form webinar is now available. All right, so this is the second to last quote in my book, Taming the Email Beast. The final quote, very simply this: be the change you wish to see in your email inbox. I bet you never thought Gandhi and email would get put together like that. And with that, I'm going to say we are done. All right, and with that, I'm going to go back to John right now and see if John has any questions that are out there for me.
Actually, yeah, thank you, Randy, for a great presentation. We have a couple questions already lining up, and just to remind everybody, there's a couple questions about the presentation. If you missed the first couple minutes or somewhere in between, don't worry. For handling multiple existing items in an inbox to get it to 0 quickly.
So what do you do when you got a whole bunch of items there already? This is sort of fun. I talk to people in my longer form session about what to do with a crazy inbox to get it cleaned up the first time. If you got about a couple hundred messages or less, I think the easiest thing to do is block a couple hours on your calendar and go one by one through them, following the decision tree process we talked about earlier. Now, the vast majority of people, when they do that, if you got a couple hundred emails or less, the vast majority of items that are in there are things that can either be filed or deleted. Do that. Get those ones out. The ones that are going to be longer, what you want to do with those is drag those ones to task, and the ones you can handle right now, get them done. And, of course, part of that filing process will be the process of creating the folders that you need to put these things away. So in essence, what I want you to do is make decisions. One thing that's sort of funny when I do my live programs, I ask how many people in the audience had more than 250 emails in their inbox. I get everybody that's doing that, and it's usually more than half the audience has more than 250 in their inbox. I have them all raise their hand. Then I ask, how many of you have some folders? Almost nobody puts their hands down. I think that's hilarious. So in essence, they're already doing what I'm asking them to do. They're just not doing it every time. If you've got way more than 250, you got to do a slightly different process, because you want to basically make the process go a little bit faster. And here's what I recommend that you do in that circumstance. Take your emails from the last 2 to 3 weeks and put them into a folder called ! Really new emails. Put that right there in as one of your subfolders in your inbox. Move all of those emails as a group. Now, how do you make them a group? Click on the top email in your inbox structure, hold down the shift key, and then go to the bottom email that you want to move. And that'll make it one big group. You can move the group. So you can take all the emails from the last 2 to 3 weeks, move them into the folder. Then what I want you to do is go down to the emails that are either 6 months or a year old or longer. You determine what age. And if you can't just summarily delete those emails, then what I want you to do is make another folder called really old emails, and grab a big group of emails and move those into that really old emails folder. So now what you're going to be left with in your inbox is a smattering of emails that are between 3 weeks and 6 months old. And here's what I want you to do. go up to the top bar on that email inbox and click on the From field, right on the little bar that says From, because that will sort all of your emails into order by who sent them to you. Usually when you do that, you can take groups of emails that are from particular senders and file them into the appropriate project, client, vendor, customer folders. Do that. Then after you get all the ones that you can get sorted out in groups by person's name, do the same thing by clicking on the subject bar and sorting them by subject, because then you'll get all the ones that are of the same subject group together and move those out too. So do it by name, do it by subject. Once you've got all of those cleaned out, then go back into that really old or really new emails folder, move those back into your inbox, and then it's time to take whatever's left from your original sorting process and those emails from the last 2 to 3 weeks and go through them one by one. And most people doing that, 3 to 4 hours, you can get that thing under control, even if you have several thousand emails in there. You do realize that you are sacrificing a little bit of accuracy. Basically, if there's an email that had a task that's more than 2 or 3 weeks old, you're probably going to miss it. But here's sort of my philosophy about that anyway. If it's been sitting there that long anyway, you probably weren't going to do it anyway. So you might as well get things cleaned up and start again. All right, I hope that gives you some good tips on cleaning that up. Do we have another one there, John?
Yes, we have a bunch. Next question is they often use the mail merge function from Access or Excel to email, but they can't figure out how to include an attachment. Do you know if that's possible?
Oh, now that's tricky, and that's actually, I'll be the first to admit, that's actually going a little bit beyond my skill expertise. It would seem, though, that there'd be 2 ways you could potentially do this. If you do the mail merge into the email, before you do the mail merge in, I would try to have the attachment inside of it. And if that doesn't work, if for some reason it's not allowing you to do the mail merge, did you remember my little tip earlier in the suggestion, which is this? Maybe what you do is take that attachment and put it into a service like Dropbox or Box.net, where it allows you to post a document or file, and then you can get a share URL. I'm almost certain you could put a URL inside of that message that would be activated, that the person that's receiving it can click on the link to get the document or file. So that might be my way to get around it if you're having a problem with attachments with the mail merge. I would post that document publicly online using one of those services and then get them to download the file from a URL link rather than try to do it with an attachment, which might work better anyway. All right?
Thanks, Randy. Next one is someone's not sure how to turn off that pop-up box when the email comes in. Would you be willing to show them?
Let me see if I can get into there. See, I just upgraded to the Outlook 2010 just a little bit ago. So let's go up here and see if I can find it in here. In the old Outlook 2007, it was simply under Tools, Options, Tools, Options, Mailbox Format. So I'm going to try to see if I can click on here and receive, folder, rules, follow-up. I'm not going to be able to find it in here. Like I said, do you know what version that they're using? Did they tell you?
No, it doesn't show. I think you're in the right spot, though, for the 2010 in the File tab.
Yeah, let's take a look here. File and Options. Here we are, Options. And let's go to Mail. And let's see, there should be one for Advanced. Okay, right here, Message Arrival. When new messages arrive, play sound, display desktop, turn those off right there. Just unclick those and they will stop doing that. So once again, let me show you that again. It was under File, come down to Options, go to Mail, and it's here. And it's almost the same in 2007. In 2007, it's under Tools, Options, Mail Options. Not Mail Format, Mail Options. And you can get to Advanced Options from there and do the same thing, turn these off. All right?
Excellent. Thank you, Randy. The next question, I actually think I can answer myself. They ask if can the task function sync with reminders on their iPhone. And I have an iPhone, and it syncs with my reminder app on the new iPhone. I'm not sure what version they have, but Randy, do you have an iPhone?
I'm actually using the new Droid. I'm on a Droid Bionic, and it took me a little bit. Now, task reminders are a little tricky for both iPhone and Droid. Calendar reminders work fine. But in tasks and, I believe it's tasks and notes, both on iPhone and Droid, you sort of have to use a third-party tool to get the synchronization. The other three tools, email, calendar, and contacts, should be pretty much an automatic syncing process with both iPhone and Droid. It works pretty well. I know with my Droid, I just had to download this thing called the Google Migration application, and it allows me to pull over my email, my calendar, and my contacts right over onto the Droid. I believe iPhone has a similar conduit, but when it comes to tasks and notes, it's a little bit more tricky. What you might want to do is if there's something on your iPhone that you want to make sure the reminder comes on in at appropriate time, even if it's for a task, you might want to just ask in your calendar and do it that way. That way you'll know it'll show up on your phone. There are some third-party applications, though, that are out there, and I'm using a third-party application called Phone Explorer, which was a free download off the Android market, which allowed me to get this secondary app called MPE Tasks, and I can now synchronize all of my tasks from my Outlook right to my Droid. And then you'll notice up here while I've got my Outlook open, here's what I did, which helped me basically use my notes out on my Droid, which would work beautifully on the iPhone too. I just downloaded Evernote, which is a third-party application you can get that works both on iPhone and Droid. And if you've got Evernote installed on your PC as well as on your iPhone or your Droid, you can basically just take any notes that you have, drag them into your Evernote, and then they will be out on Evernote in the cloud and will synchronize with your phone. So that way you can get all 5 features synchronizing if you do it properly. So I hope that gives you some options. I would definitely go to the iTunes Store, App Store, and check to see if there's any good task synchronization apps for Outlook. I believe there are a few. I would take a look and see if there's any that are highly rated if you want to specifically get the reminder function for a task working with your iPhone. Or you don't want to worry about that, just turn your task into a calendar event on your calendar, and it'll pop up and make the noise right when you need it to. Okay?
Thanks, Randy. Yeah, thanks, Randy. And I could be wrong, but if you go into your the iCloud, which is Apple's new product for hosting service, if you go into iCloud and just sync your mail with your Outlook email, I think that's the way I did it.
And it was bringing not just mail, but it was also bringing calendars, contacts, tasks, and notes, John?
Yeah, go figure. Yeah.
That's awesome. If that's the case, once again, then it sounds like what you might need to do is get your iCloud account set up and see if that opens the full conduit for you. And it's possible. It might pull in the entire PST file and then just install it right onto your phone, which would be very, very cool. My wife has an iPhone. I think I've got something to test out later tonight. So
there you go. All right. I think we've got time for a few more questions. One question says that she saw you had subfolders, but when email is inbound into one of those subfolders, if the folder's not expanded, you don't know that you got an email in that folder. Right. Do you know of a good way of doing that, or?
If I've got rules turned on for certain folders so that emails are auto-filing into those folders, first thing I do when I get into the office in the morning is when I open up my email is open up my subfolders. I want to be able to see my subfolder directory like you can see it right here. See, I don't keep it collapsed like that because then if they go into the subfolder, she's absolutely right, you won't see it. But what I do when I get in and I start working specifically in my email, I open up my folder directory like I just did right there. And that allows me to see if any of these are lit up and bolded just like this one is. See? So that is my recommendation. If you are not good at that, you may need to troubleshoot your own behaviors, meaning turn off that rule if you're making mistakes because of the rule. I tend to be pretty good about not making those kind of mistakes, so it's not a problem for me to have rules set up for auto-filing. But if it's really important, make sure you've got your cabinet where you can see it. Make sure that you can see those subfolders that might have rules turned on. As a matter of fact, what I might recommend you do is, you know how I did the exclamation point in front of the name? I might recommend you do that for any folder that you've got a rule turned on for. So they move to the top of your folder structure, and you'll see them right there at the very top of the list.
Thanks, Randy. I think people are stunned with all the information you've given them. I think we're running out of questions here. But in case someone figures out a question later on, they think of something, is there a way of them reaching you to possibly ask that question?
Yeah, the best thing to do is just send me an email at randy@randalldean.com. And, you know, if you're interested in getting something set up for your company or your association or at a conference or meeting, if one of my client representatives or agents got in touch with you, go right back to that person. They can get the information that you need. If you haven't, just send me an email at randy@randalldean.com. If it's a technical question about the material, I'll try to answer it the best I can, or at least point you in the direction of a good solution. And if it's going beyond that and into an area where it's talking about that and we've never had the correspondence before, I might actually get you in touch with one of the people that I work with so that they can follow up with you for any follow-up programs and things like that. But this is what I do. I go all around the United States, Canada, and Europe, leading programs on email management, Outlook management, office clutter and desk management, effective internal staff and team meeting management, smartphone usage, and Google applications. And I can do any and all of those types of programs. You'll notice they're all in the same genre. This is my thing. I'm just really obsessed about how to find and save time. That makes me not a very good person to either be directly in front of or behind when I'm driving. And so with that, I guess that we can finish that off. Any final questions there, John?
No, I think that concludes the questions.
Okay.
And
this will be made available for replay for later access again, correct?
Correct. Actually, I see some people saying that they found some of the things you've explained, where to find tasks for a Mac and how to click and drag. And yeah, I'd like to remind everybody that if you register for the webinar, you'll receive a recording link within 24 hours, so you can view the whole webinar at any time. So if there's no more questions, I see a couple people saying thanks. If there's no more questions, we can conclude today's webinar, and I'd like to thank you very much, Randy, for your presentation.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, John. Thanks to Copper for once again hosting this also.
All right, thank you. All right, everybody, hope you have a great day, and at this time you can now disconnect. Bye-bye.